Hello, I'm Dr. Kamaljeet Sandhu from University of New England in Australia, and currently I'm visiting India as part of my Unnati grant project. And thank you, Brianna, for inviting me to the workshop for the Unnati session, and I'm pleased to do a presentation for you. My project is in cybersecurity and digital innovation, and I'll share my PowerPoint screen with you now. So cybersecurity is a very important area for Australia and India at the moment that I am focusing on. And I'm very, very grateful to the Unnati team for granting me this project to conduct my research. And as we have seen, cybersecurity in recent time has been a very critical issue, both within the government as well as for the industry, where we have seen companies like Latitude Finance and many others like Deacon, ANU, the data has been basically been taken over, and and it's ended up in the wrong place. So my research looks at how can we provide a better cybersecurity system for Australia and India, and especially looking at, from a leader's perspective, what can the leaders do, what can the team do, what can the organizations do, and how can we improve this, because this is one area that is having an impact internationally. So strengthening Australia-India cybersecurity partnership for digital innovation is supported by the Australian government, ARCH India at the University of Melbourne. The AI Hub strengthens researchers' engagement between India and Australia. Its primary aim is to evolve strategic collaboration for research excellence for both countries. So what we have been doing over the past few months is that we have been building, competencies where the researchers from Australia, India collaborate. We can come together on a common platform, a digital platform where we can exchange ideas, how we can improve this as a security measure for the internet for institutions, big, small, government, non-government, and how we can, properly identify the weaknesses in the cybersecurity area. So the AI Hub aims to establish cybersecurity partnership for digital innovation, and that's one of the key themes that I work on. And what I mean by digital innovation is we need to look at things very differently. So from the innovation perspective, everybody thinks having a computer is like having innovation, but that's not true, because many things within the computer are not innovated. For example, there have been data breaches, there have been issues with the email system, there have been spam emails, there have been, sort of malwares coming in, there has been ransomware. So the system in itself is not far enough innovated because it goes undetected. So whenever you open up an email in the morning, somebody might have sent you a spam email, there might be a virus, there might be a malware. So the system in itself cannot identify that. And that's the biggest drawback. So having a computer system is not just, it's a magic. Rather, we have to understand how can we innovate the back end of the computer systems. So our advanced research in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, blockchain, fintech, metaverse, robotics, and others will drive innovation. So we are looking at key areas. I'm working on the area of the fintech. I'm also working on blockchain, and with my colleagues, we are doing joint research as well on quantum computing, where we are looking at things, how we can identify areas that the computer lacks behind. So, and those are the areas like, from the human perspective as well as techno-social perspective is very important to be identified. So Australia-India Cybersecurity AI Hub provides advice for improving digital security to people, businesses, and institutions online. No matter how small or big, smooth functioning of the computer system is very important. So what we have seen over the past few years, we have seen many organizations, we've seen university systems, we've seen businesses, we have looked at the data. And what we have seen is one of the drawbacks where the computer lags behind is in itself identifying the weaknesses, because the computer is not going to come up and say, look, this is my weakness. Similarly, the humans sometimes know their strengths, but they don't know the weaknesses. So we work on those computer systems, we look at those systems at the back end. We look at the codes, we look at the interaction, human-computer interaction, and we try to look at those things, how they can be improved, rather not thinking like, no, everything is perfect. Going with that mindset, we may not reach there to make things better. Rather, if we look at the systems where it lacks behind, we can, as scientists, as researchers, try to work on it and try to build some sort of a competencies behind it. So we can offer support to new and existing startups wanting to establish cybersecurity and digital system. And as I talk about it, there have been many organizations here. I recently just now had a lunch with one of my colleagues where we talked about, cybersecurity partnership between Australia and India. And we also look at not only doing a collaboration, but as a long-term strategic, project where both countries can come together and collaborate. It's between our students, it's between our academic faculties at the university, it's between our institutions, organizations, governments, where we can come together and learn from each other's experiences. Why cybersecurity is a problem? Well, cybersecurity is a national security threat. To put it very simply, today, anybody who's going to attack a computer system has got some sort of some sinister objective behind that. Why would somebody do that? From a psychological perspective, these reasons are not very clear. So we're trying to understand why somebody is trying to attack a computer system for no reason. There might be different reasons different people have got when they attack security systems, but something is not very clear here is why people do this sort of activity. Having said that, we have seen the data over the years, we have looked at the research, we are trying to understand, getting some picture is evolving here. People who do these sort of activities have got some sort of an objective to achieve. So which I will talk about it in the next few slides. So cyber attacks are the #1 national security threat. Australia-India Cybersecurity International Symposium provides a platform for prominent leaders from universities, businesses, and governments to articulate strategic partnership in building resilience for cybersecurity. So what we are seeing here is that until unless we don't come together, as country, as institutions, as universities, we don't come together, we don't share our information together, we lag behind. Because this era of cybersecurity is years ahead. These people who are called cyber attackers, they have got world-class expertise. They know how to exploit a system. They know how to make a system vulnerable. They know how to shut down a system also. So our critical infrastructure is at the stakehold, and if somebody shuts down our electricity system, somebody shuts down our water system, and behind all these systems is a computer chip. And we have to look at it very seriously. If this happens, not when will it happen, if this happens, what are we going to do? As a leader, how am I going to react? What will be my first course of action? So leaders can connect, collaborate, exchange ideas, and share knowledge and expertise, which leads to better practices in digital innovation for cybersecurity. So we're also looking at the practices, how as institutions can become much more, smarter, managing the systems so that these sort of weaknesses don't hinder onto their daily activities. So cyber attacks. So what we have seen is cyber attacks are not slowing. We have seen Latitude Finance problem in Australia. Optus was another one. We've seen Deakin University's data being hacked. We saw ANU having that issue, and the list goes on. And not even a single day goes in the news without some organization being identified or targeted by a cyber attacker. Same thing is happening in India. While I speak here, I'm talking to people from different organizations, universities, banks, and they are facing the same issue. So you can see across the board, across different countries, this is having a similar impact. So it's not something that is isolated. It's not something that is small. It impacts every country across the world, no matter how small a country is or how big a country is. Everybody uses computers these days, and they're having to face this problem. So cyber attacks escalation has led to newer problems requiring newer solutions from leaders to transform and drive the institutions, empower people and digital systems safely for innovations to maintain high levels of cybersecurity standards. said that an institution may have everything, all the safeguards in its computers, but still a cyber attack might happen. And you might wonder why. Because no system is foolproof. There's always some sort of a weaknesses there, the vulnerabilities that a hacker can exploit. So anything less than that will lead to compromise in cybersecurity, which directly has an impact on people's trust. Now, what happens when cyber attack takes place? Now, it is the people, the perceptions, the experience. People stop trusting that organization. People have low expectations from institutions that have been attacked by cyber attackers because people direct perception is that I'm not safe, my data is not safe within this organization. And what we are seeing from research, we are understanding from research is that those perceptions are driven primarily based on their experience. So people are very, very careful how they would in the future, conduct the activities on such a digital platform. So trust and confidence are the two important things that we have to keep in mind. Otherwise, what will happen is that if continuously an organization gets attacked, cyber attack, people will start basically thinking whether I want to be with this organization or whether I want to quit, as an employee or as a customer, whether I should give my business to this organization or not. So that becomes a very critical issue here. So cyber attacks we have seen is that it's widespread, it's across industry. It doesn't make selection which industry to choose. It can be hospitals, it can be banks, it can be financial institutions, it can be government institutions, it can be universities, it can be even pizza stores like Domino's. Even Pizza Hut in Australia their data was hacked. So Walla was there a few weeks back. So what are the key characteristics of cyber attacks? Global in nature. So what we have understood from my research, I understand that this is not isolated incidents. Now, have you told me 10 years, 20 years back, we would have been having this workshop session, and I would say it would have been an isolated one. But in today's time, this is very serious. As we speak, some institution is being hacked. Some institution is being cyber attacked. This is very serious because somebody is using a computer system to shut down that system or steal data from that institution. So it's global in nature, having no boundaries. There's no boundaries, there's no borders. And people who do these sort of things, they operate from different countries and they don't even exist in those countries where the attack has taken place. So there's no prior warning. So there is a very, very little warning, in fact, no warning at all, unexpected, unprepared, sudden, when you're least expecting. So another area of my research was to find out how and when does these sort of an attacks happen. So what I found was that when you're least expecting, you might be in your safest place and you might be thinking, look, everything is safe within my organization, so I've done everything. And when you're least expecting something, bang, that's when the cyber attack can happen. There can be financial and non-financial damages on a vast scale. Now, this financial and non-financial, it's very hard to measure because the losses that the organizations had to take into account can be unknown for years, because sometimes your database might be contaminated, your whole system, internal systems integrity might be contaminated. There might be viruses left behind. There might be, malicious program left behind. There might be an open door left behind for these hackers to come back again and do their malicious work. So when we look at the financial systems might put just a dollar value at that point of time that this attack took place, but does not take into account the future losses. How much would have been a future loss in dollar value? We don't know. We cannot estimate that, because none of the financial models can yet do that. And non-financial damages can even surmount to a very high value, because when you look at loss of customer, imagine your customer goes and buys their pizza from somewhere else, or a student who goes and joins another university, that's a loss to a business. So non-financial is based on trust and confidence. And there's a lot of research that has been published that suggests that consumers will not give you a reason. will not give you a reason why they're going to a competitor or why they're going to use a service from another business. But what we are trying to understand is in cyber attack, these are directly related to the perceptions of people to make such decision, a drastic decision that I'm going to leave this organization, not going to buy any product or service from this institution, or I'm not going to attend this institution. And that, as a result, will be a non-financial loss. So unimaginable losses that we have not comprehended yet. So there might be a lot of losses in terms of, exploitation of privileged information. We may not know where and how that data will be used, because that takes years of research to develop intellectual property within a business. Now, somebody comes and steals that information and uses it with their, some other intention. That would be a very big loss, a very big sort of a financial loss to an organization. Loss of data, for example, loss of data is a primary driver of cyber attacks. So why would somebody attack an organization? To steal the data. Now, what does the data do? They can use the data, they can sell the data, they can, do different sort of bad things with the data. But overall, the objective of the cyber attacker is to do some harm, a deep, deep hurt. And what we have seen in companies like, in Colonial Pipeline in the US, where the ransomware was taken and where the computer system was blocked up. And in ransomware, basically, once the system gets blocked up, it's like a break. You can't do much with the system in itself unless you pay the ransom and get the key from the attackers and then unlock. But again, there's no surety. They will give you the key. They might take the ransom and they may not give you the key to unlock your computer system because everything is encrypted. So that is the sort of problems we come across. Opportunity to strike, come back again. Now, this is a very, very important characteristics because they don't leave the system alone. So they always make a point to come back, leave a door open, leave a gate open so that they can come back and again, exploit the system silently without people knowing about it. So exploiting software vulnerability, weaknesses, leaving back door open to come back. Implanting malicious programs that they can control the servers, they can look at the activities, what's happening, they can monitor the entire organization from that computer system from one source point. Now, that is something we don't know. For example, an organization may have come across that for years. They would have been, been monitored within the system, have been exploited, but that vulnerability will not be known unless experts like us walk in and look at the computer system, how much damage has been done. And I can relate you to this experience from one of the banks in Melbourne where we were called to check, to do forensics. And when I looked at that system and I thought, my God, this system has been exploited so badly for the last 3 years and the banks had no idea about it. So you can understand how far and how deep this can go. So cyber attacks research has shown leaders of organizations that have been unprepared and were least expecting cyber attacks or did not have a cybersecurity strategy were deeply impacted, both financially and non-financially, with unimaginable losses for years to come and organizations paralyzed for longer periods of time and risk facing more cyber attacks. Now, the whole context of this, this understanding is that there is no sort of a, understanding how a leader should react. For example, if a cyber attack happens at 1 a.m. in the morning, and what is a person supposed to be doing? Most of the time people are in bed, but they have to get to the point where the attack has taken place. Now, there is no recipe book, no rule book written that when a cyber attack has happened, you do this, this, this. Most leaders do not have an idea that what should I be doing to safeguard other systems from being damaged so that other systems can be salvaged so they don't get contaminated. And the time, and you're running against the time. Every second counts. The more time you waste, the more data is being churned out by the cyber attackers, and the more damage is being done. So every second is of prime importance here, and you're working against the time. And on the same step, you're also looking at the resources. What are the resources you can use? You know, an organization may not be prepared at the middle of the night. The staff may not be there. They may not be computer security expert people. They might be interstate or in the head office base. And that is a very critical moment to save, salvage whatever is left behind. Because whatever has been damaged, destroyed, that's gone. We can't do anything. But whatever is left behind, we need to save that. And one has to understand how to do it. It's only the experts can do it. For example, people like us can go and look at quickly and start looking from that malicious virus from spreading. It's like a cancer. Basically, if we don't control it, it's going to spread across the whole computer system in the body. So having said that, there is no set rules. There are no set rules for a leader so that they can act in this way. Rather, it's based on the situation and how this cyber attacker is behaving. If it's one person, it's very different. But if it's a group, and 99% of the time, it is the group. And the group is acting very fast. Those cyber attackers are at a very high speed. I've seen them. And when I look at those sort of people, how they work, the group is coordinated, they're well disciplined, they're well organized, they're very well resourced. And those cyber attackers, they know what they are doing. And the whole group is working with one object that they want to achieve, is to get the whole control of the system. Now, cybercrime costs were $10.5 trillion. Now, that's a very big figure. Now, if you look at it, 10.5 for a country like United States of America, 21.5 trillion. I mean, roughly, we're talking of dollar value far beyond the expectation of any country or an organization. So cybercrime has hit the US so hard that in 2018, a supervisory special agent with the FBI who investigated cyber intrusions told the Wall Street Journal that every American citizen should expect that all of their data has been stolen and is on the dark web. Now, what is dark web? Dark web is a place where all the criminals go and sell the illegal data that's been stolen and it's been traded over there, which is intentionally hidden and used to conceal and promote heinous activities. Some estimates put the size of the deep web, which is not indexed or accessible by search engines, as much as 5,000 times much larger than surface web, and growing at a rate that defies quantification. So we do not even know how big it is, but we know it is very big than the ordinary search engine like Google or the ordinary platform or computer platform. But this is something like it's very, very scary. Of numbers is still is a rough estimate, but what we are seeing is that studies and research is suggesting that it's far much more bigger than that. So cybercrime to cost were 10.5 trillion. We have to think very seriously how to do this so that this doesn't happen. So there are people who are on the web, sell malware, exploit kits, and cyber attack services which they use to strike victims, including businesses, government, utilities, and essential service providers. A cyber attack could potentially disable the economy of a city, state, or entire country. It can be shut down. Your airport can be shut down. Your train station can be shut down. Your transport system can be shut down. Because behind a modern life, what is like, you get up in the morning, you press the button, the electricity comes up. You open the tap, the water comes. Behind this modernization of a modern life is a computer chip. There's no human person sitting behind a computer. Everything is automated, software driven. Now, if anybody wants to create chaos or a civil disturbance in a country, they just need to shut down the computer system. There will be civil disturbance. People won't be able to withdraw money from ATMs, bank systems will shut down. Critical infrastructure will shut down. So what we have seen is that it can become a very powerful tool for a cyber attacker to use against a nation or a country where they can, inflict heavy, deep damage. So according to the IBM report, cost of data breach report 2023, it was $4.45 million, which was 51% higher, planning to increase security investments. So what we are seeing is that organizations are understanding that, look, we need to update our system, we need to innovate our computer system, but it's taking time because we cannot shut the computer system down, one section of a computer system down and do the work. while the computer is running and it runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, still we need to do more work on it. So even just doing database work, we need to understand that customers will still be using databases, banks will be using their websites, customers will be withdrawing money. So we have to understand the shortcomings, where we can work on the weekday and where we have to work on the weekends, when the system is not overloaded, when people are not at workplace on the weekends, and then we can do major part of the work. But the time is of critical essence here. You don't have that time. And if we don't get a very good grip on this cybersecurity, we just have got a very limited time. I would say around 15 to 16 months. We don't have 2 years, 5 years and all, because this is a very, very serious problem around the globe. And if we don't get a grip on it now, keep it under control, this is going to go up. And it's going to have major damage to the economy, to the business, to the government. So the cost of cybercrime to Australia is quite high. If you look at it, 33% experienced a cybercrime. Now, that number is basically telling us a story. Every one of us have been through that. Some know it, some don't. You might have your computer system working fine, but it might be running slow. But what's happening behind that slow computer system? Somebody's stealing your data. Somebody's stealing your bandwidth. They're trying to transfer data from your computer system or from your phone, smartphone, onto another server. But you might be thinking everything is working fine, my speed is slow today. But no, it's not the speed. It's somebody who's trying to basically get into your system and do the wrong thing. And you may not be aware of it. And a lot of people who are not tech savvy, who are not computer savvy, may not know that their data is being stolen. They might think just it's my computer or my phone is going slow. But that's not the reason for a computer not going slow. Somebody is doing something. There has been a malware, there's been a virus, that's somebody who's penetrated into a system, and they are doing the wrong things. So 33% was a very, very high number for us to understand why this is happening. And 50% of the costs are caused by web-based attacks and insiders. Now, when we talk of the web-based attack are very, very organized, very, very, it's done in a very coordinated way, because people have got thorough planning. Whoever does that, they've got a thorough planning, thorough understanding what they want to achieve, what area of this computer system they want to strike, and how they want to leave it behind. Wonderful. Either they will walk out with all the data that they have stolen, or they will put some sort of encryption behind so that they can then demand a ransom. So once the money is paid, they will give you a key to unlock the system. And in such cases, also, you cannot rely on them, because some of these criminals, they do take money in cryptocurrencies and all, and they are untraceable. You cannot trace them in any part of the world because they don't exist. They don't have bank accounts. They don't have electricity bills or credit file numbers. And you cannot find them, where they come from, where they operate from, which country they are from, where did they start, where did they finish. There's no record, because all those traces are wiped out. So effect of a cyber attack on a business is 40% disruption. So now that's a very high figure. Now we have to be very serious here. If 40% of our businesses are draining out that sort of a revenue, we certainly have to do something about it. So that's where my study came in. And when I looked at the systems, I thought these systems are far, far, vulnerable. And we use them every day. Imagine driving a car. Think for a second, you're driving a car and your brakes are not safe. Will you drive that car? No. You will think twice, like you think my brakes are not working, I should fix these brakes up then afterward. But with the computer system, that's what we are doing. We're driving it every day, without understanding the problems we are facing within this computer system. So the 29% again reported information loss. The businesses who were reporting information loss were very vulnerable, because some of these systems were outdated. And if we have got the outdated system, we need to modernize them. We need to make investment. A computer is not that today you put it and tomorrow for 100 years you forget about it. It doesn't work like that. it's a technology that we need to continuously update, upgrade. Softwares are required, hardwares are required, networks are required. Again, 25% revenue loss was very high. So also in the study it was identified a lot of the revenue losses that is draining organizations it ranks to 25%. Now 29% productivity loss. Now that's a major drawback as well. So 4% of the equipment damage. Again, there'll be damages to the hardware, networks, whatever is required. We need to have this built into the strategy of, fixing up the system. Again, malicious insiders. There can be a person who can basically offload a program. Might be somebody who's within an organization or who's working with another party outside the organization. And malwares, you see malware, every day you get emails. Every day we are opening up emails and it comes with some sort of a virus, worm, Trojan horses, whatever you call it, botnets. Some of them, they don't even leave your computer, even with the hard set that you can do on your computer. You can use the antivirus, but still you cannot get rid of them because they go into your root directories and they live there for many years to come. So cybersecurity threats incidents are different according to Deloitte. Now, in a study by Deloitte that I was looking at for my research, looked at security of business leaders world are facing exponential growth in cyber threats. Compliance requirements continue to evolve. The challenges is to evaluate the best solution to counter these threats. Yes, we need the best solution, but having the best solution is not an insurance policy. Because people who are trained in this, cyber attacks, cyber hacking, are very experienced people. They are very smart people. So even if you've got the best insurance policy, it may not work because they may not come from your front door. If you're expecting somebody to break into your house and you think that person is going to break your front door lock or they're going to come through the window, think again. That's not the place they come from. So for a computer system, we have to be extra vigilant where this can happen, where can the attack take place, what are the nodes that we need to check. So that requires a lot of expertise, and only the experts can know how this can happen. You can create every scenario around that system and try to play that scenario in different versions to see how it's going to happen. Cyber threats are pervasive and increasingly sophisticated. Successful, they can compromise data, disrupt operations, and damage an organization's reputations. And it can leave their reputation in a very bad state. Keeping regional observations in mind, organizations can access, recalibrate their cyber priority strategies, spend, and capabilities to drive greater resilience and trust and protect and preserve long-term value. Now, why we are talking about long-term value? We're talking about long-term value because a computer system is not for 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 1 month. A computer system is for the next 100 years. And if we do not invest, we do not innovate, the computer system will be the most vulnerable tool that an organization can have. Because instead of being an asset, it can become a liability. Because it will be used again and again and again by the cyber attackers. So the leadership role here is the important question for a leader is what effective actions can a leader take at the time of a cyber attack? Now, this was my research question, which I have tried to answer, get my other colleagues, input into it, and the participants who have been participating into my international symposium. Because, see, the problem here is that when the attack is happening, it is the leader who's going to give the command to his team what they need to do. And the whole team will be waiting to hear what the leader wants them to do. So here, the situation is very critical. Imagine 3 o'clock, 2 a.m. in the morning, a cyber attack has happened. And immediately the person has to get out of their bed. In fact, the whole team has to be out of their bed back to their head office. Now, how do they react to this? They just can't let everything go. But like I said, whatever is left behind, you have to salvage, you have to save it, you have to basically start, keeping it. And whatever is contaminated, damaged, or whatever viruses, malicious program have been thrown into the system needs to be, damage controlled here. So that is the sort of a situation we are in. The more we play this scenario, the better we understand, because that is a very, very critical time. Every second is counting. We do not have the luxury of time to make a plan or come back with a strategy next day. No, we cannot, because that is the critical moment, and that can destroy an organization's entire computer system, entire database system. Entire organization can be shut down. Now you can imagine how this can play out. Now, this sort of a scenario is not repeated in textbooks. It's not repeated anywhere where they tell you, train you how to do these things correctly. And the word I'm using is correctly, but we don't know what is correct at that time. So digitalization models offer benefits of live video sessions, artificial intelligence, website interactions, communications, and every piece of technology, that modern technology we have today, is sitting on a digital platform, which is vulnerable. Now, I do not know any other word how to put this, but if these computer systems are compromised, what can we then say are secure? Are the health systems secure? Our transport system is secure? Our critical infrastructure secure? Our water supply is secure? Our electricity grid is secured? No, nothing is secure. Now, when we come to this point and we answer these questions and we think, no, it cannot happen. Yes, it will happen. It's a matter of time. Anybody who is in forensics, in cybersecurity these days, can understand how serious this is. And this is across countries, across boundaries, across, borders. Cybersecurity and leadership. We are also talking about digitalization models, benefits, very comfortable. We live a very comfortable, as human society, we live a very comfortable lifestyle. But behind this comfortable lifestyle is a system. It's the internet, it's the websites, it's the apps, it's the smartphones that are working behind. So we have very high expectations. When we switch on our computer or our phone, we expect the internet to be there. When we switch on our email, we expect our email to run, smoothly. When we switch on our tablet, we expect, if you want to watch a program or a documentary or a movie, we expect to run it very smoothly. But behind that system is a program, and that program can be hacked. We have to understand that. And there's another thing that's come up in the last few weeks. I've been talking to my colleague. It's called synthetic attacks. Now, synthetic attacks are more complex because it's layers on layers, and we do not know which layer the attack is coming from. For example, somebody might be in a zone A country. I don't want to name a country. In a zone A country, attacks in a country of zone D. But we may not be able to directly link the attack because the attack would have come from B, C, D, E, F. Now you can see how complex this can be, because the web servers around the world can be used. Somebody can hire a web server in Asia, or somebody can hire in South America or East Europe and use that web server to direct an attack. So in conclusion, I would point out innovation is the key, because I work in this area, and I think there's a lot of work to be done, and with computer system in itself needs to be innovated. So it's not just that the computers are the best thing for human civilization, but the computers have got limitations. We have to understand how to improve them, how to innovate them, because a computer is a very important tool, and we need to keep that in mind, that in order to get the maximum efficiency out of a computer, we need to innovate. Resilience, we need to make a computer systems resilient. Now, if we don't do that, we would lag behind. And most of the computer system that we are looking today also have a legacy system. That's even much more vulnerable. Now, what's a legacy system? When the computers would have started, the organization would have put, the hardware, software, and since those times, those databases are still running, and many businesses are there. I mean, there's nothing wrong in it, just that they have to be modernized. They have to be, updated regarding software, hardware. Threat detection has to be improved. So many, like I said, many organizations don't even know they have been hacked. I came across an organization only 2 weeks back. They have been hacked for the last 3 years. Somebody is exploiting their system inside out. The system is compromised basically now. But the thing is that they didn't know. I think it's more than 3 years, because my feeling was that it has to be longer than that period, because the first intrusion that I saw was done at least 7 years back. Then the activity kept silent. There was no other activity, but there were other areas of the computer systems were contaminated. There were small programs put into it that were transmitting data out of the computer system to another server outside the country. Now, that sort of work, forensic work, we do not see. It only comes from experts. Now, people like us who walk in and who know what is happening here, are doing something called, you see it in movies like CSI and all, crime scene investigations, where the guys who know exactly how to map the steps back to the time when the crime happened. So doing it with computers, it's far much more complex, because every day the computer data gets changed. Every day the computer software is being updated, or some sort of a patch being built into it. Now that makes our work very difficult, because we cannot then go back in time and see what happened here at that period of time. But nevertheless, still it's possible to do it. Education and training, yes, universities, institutions, businesses have a very big role to play, where we can train our, workforce, we can train our students, we can train our, colleagues, we can train leaders in understanding how to detect this. But I think this is going to be a continuous process, not just one time you go to the university and get a degree and you're done with it. No. Whereas cybersecurity is a very different nature. We have to continuously keep updating, continuously keep educating people, workforce training, to tell them the best practices, how to deal with this issue. If we have an awareness program where everybody can talk freely, they can exchange, we can learn a lot, but that is not happening. That is not happening at the moment. So, but many organizations are going towards that direction, but the pace has been very slow. Investment, we need to invest. We need to invest. We need to understand how to get the best from that investment. Just for the sake of investment is not enough. We have to invest in the right areas. We need to invest in places where we know there's a lot of vulnerability. There's a lot of places that we can expect that attacks can happen. Those are the areas we need to invest money. And once we understand that those areas have been made safe, we can focus attention to other areas. So those primary areas are very important for investment. At the moment, they're neglected because there's lack of funds. COVID came, organizations started, downsizing their workforce, but more reliance was put onto the computer system. The computer system was far stretched, under-resourced. A lot of good people left because, organizations started cutting down on jobs. But nevertheless, we are still using computers, and we're using far much more beyond compared to the past. So, but the investment has not been there. So we have to invest in systems, invest in new technology, invest in new softwares, hardwares. Taking cybersecurity seriously, it's a very important topic. I know many people would think, oh, this is last on my list. Actually, that's the wrong thing to do. Having cybersecurity last on the list, I would say, is a disaster for recipe. It should be the number one top priority. There's no other simple explanation than this. Any organization who has not thought about cybersecurity should get up now and start doing it before it's too late. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time when you're going to be attacked. It's not if, when, where. It can happen anytime now. So I think it's one of those issues for the next 20 years, 25 years. It's not going to go away. In fact, it's going to get worse. And you cannot blame anybody else than by yourself, organization, for not taking any action. And the governments and the institutions, the law is also being very clear now. The institution has to take responsibility. It's not only an IT issue now. It goes far beyond the IT department. So IT people are not to be also held responsible just because the senior leadership didn't do anything. Board of directors didn't take action. So now the whole senior leadership is responsible, whether it's in the US, Canada, Australia, England. The law's being changed around, and taking it seriously also means taking action. It's not just written on a piece of paper and put it on a folder and forget about it. No, take action now before it's too late. Have people, experts come in, audit your computer system. Well, we do accounting every year. We file our taxations every year. We do all our accounts every year. Why not cybersecurity? It should be part of the mainstream. It should be included in annual reporting systems that our organization is compliant, with this cybersecurity issue. And we have done everything possible, and it should be signed by a computer auditor. Or a cybersecurity expert. There should be a body who needs to overlook all this. But that sort of a mindset has to come in. And that mindset will then set up standards. We need standards. We need best practices that the organization is doing the right thing. And that can have a tremendous amount of improvement within an organization. Without that, we cannot get there. Plan, execute, and monitor. What do I mean by plan? Plan for the worst, execute your best strategy, and monitor every second. What's the traffic coming? Where is it coming from? If somebody is suspicious, pull that traffic out and study it, look into it, get the team, get the IT department or the systems administrator involved or the senior management involved, and look where this intrusion is coming from. Just don't be like lax, thinking, oh, it's just happened, it's a one-time incident. Actually, they're testing a system. They will do it first time, they'll do it second time, they will do it 20 times, but that time afterwards, they are going to get into your system. So there should not be any sort of softness here. If organizations do not take this seriously, it's going to become a very big issue. And what we are seeing today is nothing compared to what damage they can inflict. In fact, there's a study I've seen, the damage can be 5,000% higher than what we are seeing today. And that's a very big number. Now, we have to understand how to execute, plan, and monitor. And not only just the computer system, we have to understand what sort of a transaction, what sort of an activity is taking place. So much of data is there. How can we study? What can we make sense of it? We've got log file data, we've got logins data, we've got enormous amount of data within the computer system, and it goes unnoticed. So we have to understand, how is this happening? If somebody is trying to break into the system, what is the weakest point they're catching up on? Or what is the area that they're trying to break into? And what can we do about it? Thank you.